Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two mezcals, joven, young mezcals. This is the Mezcal Union Uno, and this is produced by a cooperative called Union. It's a union of small, relatively small cow producers. So to help promote their products, they teamed up and operate like a single company, you understand? And this is their Uno one. They're one operate as one company. Let's see if we'll get it to focus. Yeah, there it goes. So there's a guy chopping up the agave, and this uses Espadin and cirial at cirial, cirial agave plants. And this one is 400 conejos, 400 rabbits, as it says on the back in English, 400 rabbits. There it goes focusing, and it's been on the market since 2015, and it's listed as a Proximo Spirits brand. Proximo Spirits being Jose Cuervo, the Jose Cuervo company. But on the back it says under license from independent company. So I guess it's just a contract they have with Cuervo because they wanted a mezcal in their portfolio. Like it says right here, under license from the trademark owner, Krista La Santa. So it's actually owned by the Crystal La Santa distillery, almost said brewery, but it's handled by Proximo Spirits. All right, so they make a few different versions of this, and they make a few different versions of this. All right, I just got the Jovens. You can get different ones. This was about $30. That's usually the price for mezcals, $30 to $40 a bottle. I got this one for $26.99, so I got a little cheaper. All right. Make sure my labels are correct. So far so good on the taste challenges. I've gotten it right 5 out of 5 times, which is sometimes very difficult with products if they're so similar. Like, well, it could be anything. Like I have rye whiskey coming up. Some of these rye whiskeys are so similar one to another that I find it basically impossible to tell them apart. Which means what? Well, if you're shopping around, and you like the Carlo Rossi commercials used to say on television, if you can't taste the difference, why pay the difference? And I can't argue with that. But in this case, the 400 rabbits, I can taste the difference. But luckily, I would not have to pay the difference because it's cheaper than most of the ones I bought. So it's working out double, lower price and better taste. I find, but they're all good. I don't have the only mezcal. Oh, this rubber is tight. I remember this from when I first tried this. Some of these rubber stoppers are really tight, wooden cap. The only mezcal I have that's questionable, to me is questionable, is Monte Alban from Sazerac, the Sazerac company, produced for the Sazerac. For the Sazerac company. I was reading reviews, and it's divisive reviews. Can get it right this time. Some review, it's like super good or super bad. It wasn't really any in between reviews. It was like I was maybe the only one that had an in between. Like I was torn on it, but I was just reading these online reviews, and yeah, some people saying, "Oh, it's the worst stuff I ever tried." Worst kind of mezcal or tequila I ever tried, and it was like that. Or then you had the other half saying, "Oh yeah, man, this stuff is great. It's all I buy. Monte Alban. It's all I buy." So that one's divisive. Now the other mezcals I have, they're usually across the board really positive. Like, "Oh yeah, this stuff's good. You ought to check it out." So forth. You're gonna run across brands like that very divisive. Some people hate them. Some people love them. Or like in my case, I couldn't figure the thing out. Okay, but I lean toward being negative towards it. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The Monte Alban, I can't say too much positive about it, and that's just too bad for them. Now, the Monte Alban Gold Tequila and the Monte Alban Silver Tequila, both 100% agave, blue Weber agave. They might be fine. They might be good. I might have total positive regard for them. Can't say because I've never had them, and I got so much tequila back stock right now. It's going to be a long time before I do have them, unless I go to Walmart and they got it for $10, some crazy price like that, as was the case. What, last week? Yeah, with the Cristalino. The Cristalino from Hornitos. Now, the Hornitos Plata is like $24. Everybody got it at the same price, $24. And I'm sure it's good, basic joven young tequila. But that Cristalino is clear also, but it's like a high level, high grade, like so many charcoal filtrations on it and everything. I checked prices yesterday, and the low price I saw was $32 up to even $44. Some people had $44, $32, $37, and I got it for $10 at Walmart. Can't figure that out, but I bought it, and I know I got a great deal. So yeah, if I run across, I don't care what the liquor is. I mean, unless it's something that's usually lower than 10. You got some really low priced products like Canadian Limited whiskey. I can always find that for $8. But okay, so Mezcal, yeah, chances are you're not going to find it on discount, except for that one time when I found the Sombra for $15. And that's another one running $35, $40. So it's amazing to find that. And I was talking to a liquor guy yesterday, a distributor guy, and he was saying, he said, well, in Louisiana, you got to mark it up 6% or higher. I said, that's the law? Yeah. He said, that's the law. This is one guy. He must know what he's talking about because that's what he does all day. Stocks liquor in stores and makes orders and tries to sell brands. Try to get stores. Hey, try this brand out. It's going to really sell. Now, whether it does, you don't know. He said, yeah, it has to be marked up at least 6%. I said, but there's no way Walmart got that Cristalino for $10 or less. I mean, it's not possible. He said, yeah, well, in that case, what they could do, though, he said, well, they might have got a real good deal on it, like a super low wholesale price, and they just marked it up 6% up to 10. Like they made a deal with the thing. The distributor said, well, if we mark it up this much, it'll go to $10 even. Oh, yeah, we'll make that deal. They had extra, whatever. He said, but he said, you can make it lower than cost if you want to get rid of it. Let's say it's not moving. You could sell it lower than cost, but you can't sell it again for a year. I said, oh. He said, you got to wait at least a year to restock it. I said, oh, yeah, so that they're not gaming the system, playing games. He said, right. So that makes sense. So that's Louisiana. Pretty liberal, right? Liberal in the classic sense, not liberal in the modern hammer and sickle sense, you know. What's liberal today would have been considered like Mussolini's fascism 80 years ago, right? Okay, anyway. And they'll run around talking about, we believe in freedom. But I'm like, freedom to what? Dominate people? That's not really the common or the traditional interpretation of that word. But we're trying to educate people, get them on the right track, off the tyranny track. This smells basic in a sense like vegetable juice. In this case, agave is a vegetable, and the juice comes out, and that's the whole process of making the mezcal or tequila mezcal. Like sugar cane, you make rum from the juice. You squish the cane. They got big rollers. They roll it through. It squishes the juice, and the juice is used for the distillation. Now, the cane stalks are used for other things. They don't waste them. And some distilleries burn the cane to power the distillery. So it's self-perpetuating. The refuse sugar cane stalks are used to make the fire to heat the liquid that they just got out the cane. So that's ecological. This one has a smoke component. Now, people will say mezcal is smoky. That is like people saying scotch is smoky. No, that's not correct. the correct statement is some mezcals are smoky. Many, in my experience so far, most aren't. Scotch. Some Scotch is smoky. Some Scotch whiskey is smoky. Most that I've tried are not. Or if they are, it's minimal. Minimal, okay? So don't run from mezcal because you think it's smoky. You know, say, oh, no, I'm not trying that stuff. It's too smoky. And in the case of 400 rabbits, yeah, that's the case. That is the reality. So if smoky doesn't sound like something you'd like to try, don't get that one. Because on the other hand, if smoky is what you love, get that one. Skip the others. Get that one. Okay, taste. There's an underlying roasty character. And you could argue smoke from the roasting of the agave in the underground pits. Okay, so it has that in a generalized sense, but not in a specific sense. That would not be its main characteristic. The main characteristic, like I say, is the agave juice. Cirial agave, which I know nothing about, except it's a type of agave, and the Espadin. I know a lot about that in this. I know that it's common. That's what I know about Espadin. It's common. It must be easy to grow, relatively easy to grow, and widespread. Cirial is probably rarer. Okay, but they've added that in for some reasons. Obviously, they added it in for a reason. It's not just there by happenstance. Yeah. Now, I noticed something. Here's what I've noticed about the 400 Conejos, and this is common too. It's a common phenomena. As the bottle breathes, because every time I open it, air's coming in, vapors are going out, it's interacting with the air. It's not as smoky as the first 2, 3, 4 sessions. Same thing happened with that Ardbeg 10, that famously smoky Scotch, single malt Scotch whiskey. First opening, I try it. Oh man, it's just like liquid smoke. You can't get over it. It's so amazing. But as you get down the bottle, it does start to lose that. Why? I don't know. Do India Pale Ales lose their bitterness? I mean, I'm talking about proper India Pale Ales over the drinking experience. It's hard to say in that. It's hard to say with that because you're not going to take an India Pale Ale beer and reseal it and try it in 2 days and reseal it. It's going to go flat. It doesn't have the longevity, so you can't really. You would never have that chance unless you had some kind of way you could seal it back and it would never lose carbonation. I don't know how that could be done. I guess they have some I guess those draft kegs, you know, they come in the big metal thing, the steel, I guess it's steel or whatever, metal, and you tap it and then it'll last 30 days. And that could be something to try out. I don't really see India Pale Ales in those things. I see Heineken in those. What have I seen in those? Heineken, Hofbräu. They used to have Newcastle Brown Ale from England in those. Yeah, I don't really see those too much. Every now and then I'll go to a store and they'll have it, but I never bought it. I've never purchased those. Not against it, I just never purchased them. All right, second sip. Yeah, standard. Good standard. Now, when I say standard, I don't mean mediocre standard like it's not worthwhile. I just mean good standard. Just a good standard mezcal. Does it stand out? Is there anything particularly remarkable about it? Or is it unique in any way that I can tell? I don't see that. Just seems no better or worse than all the other really good ones that I've got. So, you want to try it? Go ahead. If you're familiar with the standard mezcal flavor, then there you go. Now the rabbits, 400 rabbits. It says on the back bottle 400. It says 400 Conejos on the front, and on the back says 400 rabbits. Okay, this translation. Good label, huh? Reminds me of like a tablecloth at a Mexican restaurant. Linen tablecloth. Yeah, smoky, but not as much as it was. So I got a feeling, like the Beatles said, a feeling down inside. Oh yeah, I have a feeling that as I sip it down over the next few years, by the time I get to the bottom third, I bet it'll have almost no smoke, or the smokiness will be no different than the others. We'll see. But yeah, it went from being liquid smoke and an experience of liquid smoke to now just marginally smoky. Now, have I gotten used to it? Oh yeah, I've gotten used to it, but that character would still remain. I've gotten used to Miller High Life, right? But it's still got the same character, that steamed vegetable flavor. I don't know why it has that. But when I tried Miller High Life in '96 and kept drinking it, I say it tastes like steamed vegetables, which it doesn't contain any vegetables. But I've seen other people write written reviews that I don't know these people. I never read their reviews before. I did not conspire with them to write that. And they said the same thing: steamed vegetables, boiled vegetables. It's a strange experience, but it doesn't go away. It's just that you get used to it, so you don't really notice it so much. Um, Now, I said before I ever read any reviews, now I could be lying. You say you could be lying. Well, I could be lying, but I'm not, but I could be. Tommy Carroll says, cheers, Louisiana Liquor Reviews. Cheers back to you, Tommy. So, what I noticed with the doggone Dickel, and I've only had two Dickel products. Well, actually, I had three. I had the Tabasco barrel, which is so inundated with Tabasco. They don't put Tabasco sauce in it, but it's in the barrel so much that it's soaking up all of that residue. So they kind of do have Tabasco sauce in it from that. So you don't taste that. But in the George Dickel 12, Superior 12, and the George Dickel Rye, and that's from Indiana, but both of them taste like Flintstone vitamins. Why? They use corn, they use rye, and they use barley malt, malted barley. Well, a lot of companies use that for their bourbon. So why would they don't taste those other companies' whiskeys don't taste like Flintstone vitamins, and that's not a bad flavor because I used to like to take my Flintstone vitamins when I was a child. It's just an unusual flavor. It's like you wouldn't expect that when you drink whiskey. You wouldn't go tell somebody, "Oh yeah, you like whiskey? Try this. It tastes like Flintstone vitamins." They would look at you like, "What?" That would be a shock. And when you taste it, it is a shock. But it's there. And I've read other written reviews from, like I said, people I have no relationship with. I don't know these people. I've never met these people. I've never watched any of their videos, if such videos exist. And they said the same thing: Flintstone vitamin, Flintstone vitamin. And now, could they have learned that from somebody else and pick up on it by power of suggestion? Yeah, but it couldn't have been my case because I never read any of the videos. I mean, I never read any of the reviews until I did my own review. I never read reviews for beer, wine, or liquor until after I do mine, specifically for that reason. I do not want to be influenced by other reviews and have things in my mind about it. I mean, I'll look at the score because so I could just tell people. That's a danger too. In a way, that's a danger too because you could be influenced by the score. Well, man, this thing's getting world class all across the board. But I'm not seeing that. Then you might be intimidated, like maybe something's wrong with me. I'm not giving it world class. Everybody else is. So that's a danger, I'll admit. But I just find people find it interesting when I'm doing video reviews and say, well, Beer Advocate said it was a 95, Rate Beer said 93, and a 40 in the style, which is strange. It's always strange with beer, Rate Beer. And then Untapped's giving it an 80, whatever. Okay. After I do my review and I sit down and I sip on the beer, I do the video review, I'll be sipping on the beer or the whiskey. Then I'll write it. I'll write the written review, post it on Google, post it on Untapped, Well, if it's whiskey, post it on Google, post it on distiller.com, and post it on Total Wine and More. And you might think Total Wine and More's got fake reviews because they're trying to sell the products. That's it. That would be a reasonable suspicion, but it's not. Anything you write, they'll put it up there, and they don't really edit. They're not really careful about that. Like people put foolish reviews like this stuff is trash. Won't give any explanation. Don't justify why they're calling it trash, and they'll let it stay up there. They won't even take it down. Let it count. Or they'll say it's the best whiskey in the world. Okay, but they don't explain why. You know what's so good about it. They don't say. See, I wouldn't let that be on my site. And even when you read the Untapped guidelines, it'll tell you you should explain why you have this opinion. But people don't. In many cases, I mean, most cases they do, but in many cases they don't, and they'll just let it stay. It's all automated. There's nobody sitting in the office going over that stuff. They'll even put dumb things like they complaining about the service. Like I ordered this stuff at 3:00 and they said it would be here in an hour, and it was 5:30 and it didn't arrive till 5:45, and I was so angry. Well, it got nothing to do with the product. You mad about the service? What's that got to do with Jim Beam prohibition repeal? You know, like that kind of stuff. Like, but they'll let it stay, so you know it's not fixed. You know the thing is not fixed, where they're only going to put positive reviews. So I went and read all those reviews, and then does it always match what I wrote every time I do it? No, it doesn't, but it usually does. It usually does. Now I thought, well, that makes me think that I know what I'm talking about, because I'll write about a beer and I'll say, man, this thing is like corn. It's like eating liquid corn. Go on and on about the corn. And then I'll start reading the reviews other people wrote. They say the same thing. What's up with this? Canned corn. It's corn, 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 corn. I'm like, see? Then I read all the reviews after. I mean, I read the reviews from the last month. I'm not going to sit down and read reviews on liquor, I'll read them about from the last year. Because it seems like with liquor reviews, for whatever reason, you don't get as many. Like beer reviews, you might get sometimes 50 in a month. That's rare, but you could. And you just reading, but with liquor, it won't even take you that long to go through the whole past year. Maybe with Crown Royal, it might, because you got such a high volume with that whiskey that you might get 20 reviews a month. But typically, you get 20 reviews a year, you see. Okay, so we're going to determine which one's better. I don't really think there is a better one here. I tried Lagunitas IPA in a bottle, so much better than the can. It is something I've just perceived. What? I don't know, Tommy, because I've had that experience too, where I tried beers in bottles versus can, and the bottle seemed better. And cans even had a metallic taste. And people will tell you, the craft beer people, I call them the craft beer people, they'll tell you, you're wrong. Can's always better. Canned is always better. I'm like, I don't know who wrote that rule. It became a rule when all the craft beer companies started using cans because it was cheaper. Okay, I get that. They all of a sudden they decided 12 years ago cans were better. Remember back in the mid 90s, cans were like definitely gauche. You definitely did not use cans for craft beer. That was looked down on as just the most appalling presentation. And so no one did it. Then Oscar Blues started doing it, and it was cheaper. So then all of a sudden I said, watch. I was saying this back then. I said, watch, everybody gonna start using cans, and then it's gonna be like this great thing. Oh yeah. And now they look down on bottle, like, oh, you're drinking out of a bottle. Oh, you're so yesterday. I would never drink a craft beer out of a bottle. Gilligan, if you can get us off this island, you'll never have to work another day in your life. You know, you get that kind of attitude. It's like, what's wrong with you people? Are you just a trend monger? Or a trend follower? Smoke is there. The smoke is there. Working Class Beer Review says, good morning, Ron. Checking in. Good morning to you. And I've been watching your videos, as you well know. Okay. I watch everybody's videos that are worthwhile. Some are not worthwhile. They like watching Scarface. It got more F word than the review. It's like, oh, you're so excited. It's like, I'm 31 years old. I can cuss on YouTube. I am so with it. I'm like, no, you're so terrible. You do a terrible review. You can't say any other. You don't know any words. You want me to teach you some words like literal or figurative? And they terrible. Those reviews are terrible. And then they don't say anything about the beer. They just all horrible. I don't watch those. I'm talking. I'm not. I mean, they got some that use bad language and they make good reviews. I won't comment. I'll just be like, I ain't commenting. I don't want to be part of their gang. But I'll watch them and I'm like, it's sad. This guy could be a really great channel. He could have a great channel if he could learn to show restraint. You know what I mean? Because he knows what he's talking about with beer. It's not just a bunch of tomfoolery. I'm talking about. I don't watch the ones that are a bunch of tomfoolery. But anyway, that's the story on that. Personal preference, I'm going to side with the 400 Conejos. Personal preference. Quality assurance, quality control, it's even. No. I don't think these two companies put out bad batches or anything like that. You buy it, you're going to like it. All other things I discussed earlier notwithstanding. I mean, I am so tired of hearing about craft beer companies and people run to their defense talking about, well, it was just a bad batch. I'm like, again? I'm paying good money for these beers. I paid $4.99 for a 12-ounce can. Of course, can now, right? Not bottle. And that stuff was a C plus. It was a C plus. Oh, great. Man, if I'm paying $4.99 for a bottle, I'm sorry, a can, even if it's a pint, okay, it's a pint, a 4-pack. You say it was only $17.99 for a 4-pack. Man, if I'm paying that kind of money, that beer better be an A. And if it's an A minus, it's not even a good score. That's the way I look at it. If I'm paying $4.99 a can for a pint and the beer is an A minus, it just soon be an F. What value is that? I paid $4.99 and I got a beer that barely made A minus. You say, well, that's excellent. Yeah, that's excellent. Big deal. I got Busch Light in the fridge. It's excellent too. In my opinion, 90 out of 100. I know it's macro. I know who makes it. I know all the news. I keep up with the news probably more than you. I'm talking about the product. It's always good. There's no bad batches. I don't get Busch Light and say, oh, it was a bad batch. What's wrong with it? It's not like that. And there's nobody going to make excuses for it because they don't need to, because there's not going to be any excuses to be made. That's all I'm saying. And I don't think you're going to get a bad batch on either one of these. Some people were so happy that I did the Cuervo Gold review, Jose Cuervo Gold. And I keep getting the same comments. Tommy says, do you have a separate link for your anti-war channel? Well, I don't have the link right now, but just type in anti-war. Let's say type in anti-war Keystone Light, because if you type in anti-war, there's a lot of channels, right? Some of them are not really anti-war. They claim to be, but they're not. But if you typed in Keystone Ice, anti-war, you're going to see my face, and there's the channel. You can subscribe. And I do videos occasionally, not too much, but sometimes. I'm going with the 400 bunny rabbits, says Tommy. Yeah, that's a good choice. So I'm going to go with that too. So here we go. We're closing out. The winner, only based on personal preference, is the 400 bunny rabbits. But it's a tie based on quality because they're both high quality and the price is about the same. So you're not really saving anything. So either way the cut goes, buy them, try them, and it's pretty certain you're going to like them. I got one more left for Wednesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow night we have Florida beers, and we had hell finding Florida beers. Let me tell you, we went everywhere looking. I said, "Isn't it a shambles? Can't find Cigar City anymore in Louisiana." Shows how fast things can die out. In the craft beer world, it could die out in a week, in a literal week. Now, if it's a beer I hate, it never goes away. But if it's something I love, like Cigar City's High Ally, yeah, it's gonna go away. Red Hook, ESB, it won't last. um, I got one more mezcal coming. That's the Las Tonas, and it's gonna be the same as this. If you want to skip a video, you say, "Oh, I don't want to watch the same thing." You're gonna sit there and talk about how they both really good and everything for 30 minutes. Yeah, skip it. I don't take offense to that. Then we're going into rye whiskey. But so many people said on my Cuervo video, I'm so glad you did this, because the common thing these days wasn't like that 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, everybody was like, Cuervo, yeah, I love Cuervo. Everybody respected Cuervo. I love Cuervo. And then when the liquor snobbery started coming into play more and more, then it was like the cool thing. If you wanted to be cool on the internet, you had to hate Jose Cuervo. It was like, oh, that's trash. That's not real tequila. Well, A, it is real tequila. And secondly, I'm thinking to myself, I never tried it until 2 weeks ago. I never tried that product. Of course, I knew about it. Who wouldn't know about it? Trying to get this thing to focus. I'm thinking, ain't no way that's the #1 tequila in the world and it's terrible. There's no way. It's not possible. So I tried it and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's really good. To call this stuff trash is trash. It's trash to call it trash. It's a joke. And people were saying, I mean, obviously, I didn't say it was the best thing in the world. It's not even marketed as that. But people, one after the other, they kept commenting, oh, yeah, this stuff's not bad. Well, what is all of this? They were saying, they were noticing the same thing. Like, what is all of this over the last few years about this Jose Cuervo's no good? I said, it's the same thing like with Budweiser. Same thing with Johnny Walker Red. Same thing with Crown Royal. You got the people out there and they make a career out of running around talking about how the mainstream products are terrible. Silliness. It's silliness in my opinion. Liam, let's look at the comments and we out of here. We're going long. Liam says, morning, Jay, currently enjoying coffee with my Jim Beam. Also had eggs, bacon, and some Libby's corned beef hash. Cheers. Cheers to you. And I had some pumpkin spice pancakes. I didn't buy that. I would never buy that. But somebody gave me some pumpkin spice pancake mix. And I'm like, oh, thanks. But they're good, actually. They actually are good. So they're good. They're good. They're good. They don't have pumpkin in them. It's pumpkin spice, nutmeg, cinnamon, and all that. They're good, though, but they are good. I might forgive a bit. Oh, I might forgive a B if they bring back Busch Signature. Well, that's not going to happen, which is terrible. Best beer Anheuser-Busch made in 20 years, and they got rid of it in 2 years. Atrocious marketing. But maybe they tried. They just couldn't get people to buy it. I bought it. My friend David bought it. A few other people bought it. But the craft beer people wouldn't buy it. I'm not buying that. That's made by Anheuser-Busch. They're the enemy. Power to the people. Right on now, of course, when this current scandal happened in April, now the same people that used to say that are like, let's all get together and help Anheuser-Busch. Power to the people. I'm like, oh, you want it both ways. Okay, I see how it works. Where were you? Where were you? Very loyal to Libby's canned products. They do a good job. Yep, Libby's. And I think Libby's meat products are not the same company as the Libby's vegetable. I think that company it's like Seagram's. They got separated. Like a different group of people own Libby's canned meats and a different group of people own Libby's vegetables. And I think a third group owns the frozen. I think so. Same thing with Seagram's, right? Sazerac owns Seagram's VO, Canadian whiskey. But Diageo owns Seagram's Crown Royal. They no longer use the name Seagram's Crown Royal. They just call it Crown Royal. And then you got Pernod Ricard owns Seagram's Gin. and vodka. So, yeah, funny, huh? All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.